BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Then get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on blackjack or maybe a game of poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. Welcome to the Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals podcast, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. My name is Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast and tell all of your Arizona Cardinals fans and friends to do the same. You can also watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, my brother Ed?
At it for another week, man. Got a tough one up against us with these Cardinals heading out to San Fran. But, I'm going to find a way to put a couple nickels down with that online. I got some props and things I'm already looking at. So let's get it in, man. I'm going to let you know when I win one big.
We do. Please do. We do this thing twice a week, so on Mondays and then on Thursdays typically. Thursdays we look ahead to the upcoming matchup. Mondays we look behind, and so from this game with the Arizona Cardinals and traveling to the Bay Area to take on the 49ers, according to BetOnline, the spread is -7. The San Francisco 49ers -7. So we'll see how that goes. That might be one of those, especially as we get into this game. That -7. Might look kind of cool there because I don't know the 49ers might put it on them in this game. The Arizona Cardinals are coming into this game 1-3, and the San Francisco 49ers are 2-2 coming in. The Arizona Cardinals are coming. This is one of those games that we talked about where. Well, when we talked earlier this week about the carnage of the Washington game, that this is where the Arizona Cardinals they got to step up. I mean, especially from the offensive side of the ball. What do you, if you were a coach in that locker room, or maybe one of those players coming off of that, the way that the season has gone so far, if you were one of those leaders, what are you saying? What are you doing? Or if you're a coach, what are you trying to do to prepare this team to get on the road?
Well, the time for moral victories is over, Jay. The rough part about this game coming up is this is one where everybody's picking San Fran to win because obviously they're a much better team, more talented, coaching staff probably outwits ours, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's nothing wrong going out and showing well, but when you lose the way we did this past week against Washington, your goodwill is starting to go away. The one we just gave away 42-14, that's one that we were supposed to get, and especially not be embarrassed. So now it starts to pile on. So as a coaching staff, it's like, gentlemen, it's time to put up or shut up. And the reason I'm saying that as far as coaching, because I'm not on a hot seat yet, but I can feel my feet just a little warm, like the sun is just beating on them, And it's like you don't want to continue this path of, because you got to admit we didn't even play. Like if we had lost to the Commanders 30-28, valiant effort. Okay, we basically laid down to a rookie quarterback and his comrades. They come over and just took our lunch money, walked in the house, opened the fridge up, had whatever they wanted, spilled on the floor and everything, and just left us a mess, So, and now what we have in front of us is going out to take on this San Francisco team that if you wanted to play San Francisco, it was a couple weeks ago when they were all banged up, left tackle out, McCaffrey still on the mend, Deebo Samuel is out. I mean, you run down, Kittle didn't play. Now they're all coming back, and after getting a victory last week, they're feeling a little better about themselves, and they know they can't fall behind Seattle too far because Seattle looks pretty good. They're 3-1. So San Fran is like, well, we got to keep pace in this division, and So we can't let for San Fran, they're looking at this game against the Cardinals like we should have been looking at the one against Washington last week. We can't. This was one on our schedule. This is a dub. We counted this one as 100% dub. We can't get us in the way. So, and, to get back to your question as far as, what the coaches are saying and everything, hey, gentlemen, it's time to put up or shut up. I know we're going out there and, what we did last week was not good, but we got to bring a better effort this week. The problem is, Jay, you're outmanned on the other side of the field. They have much more talent. It's going to be an uphill battle on the road. Not, these are the games in the NFL that shock us, though. There's nothing saying they can't go over there and bring back the victory. I'd be very surprised if they do. We'll get into our predictions and stuff later. But this game is almost setting us up for one of those, oh, my God, how did they do that? So hopefully this is one of those weeks,
So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals presented by Bet Online. And so here we're gonna get into the offense in a bit. And so again, we're gonna break that or give our projections. But from a defensive side of the ball, this is one of the things that I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks, or especially last couple of weeks especially, was that the Cardinals defense is, you can tell out of the two groups, or if you want to say even three with special teams, out of the two groups in offensive defense, the defense is lacking. But it's interesting where, at least in that Detroit game, and you meant, and I'm going to mention what you said to me earlier in the week, but in the Detroit game, they still didn't give up any points, but conversely, it's almost as if Detroit said, all right, how many points we got? We good. We're not worried about it. Don't worry about it. Right. But oftentimes Detroit was able to, even if they didn't score, they were able to extend drives and then punt the ball. So they were running down the clock. And in the case of the Washington game, Washington was they just weren't able to get Washington off the field at all, and thus the ending score. Is how, as a defensive coordinator, if you're Nick Rallis, how do you combat that? Because you're going up against a team that you mentioned even without Christian McCaffrey this year, they're still able to be dynamic and do some things. Yes, they're 2-2, but in terms of, if you look at the offense for the 49ers, they're scoring, they're up there in terms of scoring points for. What do you do as a defensive coordinator to maybe put something together to stop or slow down this offense?
Well, this is to me, this is a, what they go, BA used to talk, no risk it, no biscuit, that type of thing. For me, this is one of those games where we saw what happened last week when we let Jay McDaniels just sit back there and pick us apart, right? And I said before the Washington game, I was like, you got a rookie quarterback coming in there. If you don't throw everything but the kitchen sink at him and you let him get back there and get comfortable, shame on you. And what did we do? We let him. Here's the honest to goodness truth, Jay. You think about our defense and our offense for that matter. I mean, we got a couple more pieces on the offense, with Kyler and Marvin Harrison. But think about our defense. Other than Budda Baker and Zaven Collins, I mean, you have a hard time naming any, and we definitely don't have what I would call up front. We don't have any what I would call go get them dogs. Like, hey, just turn them loose. So, I mean, this, for me, we're fighting an uphill battle already because we don't have the talent when we can't get after it individually. So what do you have to do? This is where coaching really comes into play. And this is all about scheme. And this is all about, we got to come up with something they either haven't seen or weren't prepared for, which is hard to do because with Shanahan offense, I mean, they make you, second guessing with all the motions and the formations, Debo in the backfield, when you're playing in San Francisco against the San Francisco offense, I mean, you got to be on point so much because they throw so much at you. And it's going to be tough because, like I said, there's not much that even Purdy at his young age is not prepared for. So what can you do? Like I said, last week was your opportunity to empty out the bag and throw it all at him. This week, if you do that, you bear the chances of being really embarrassed because they pick it up, or you got nobody in the back part of that defense to cover all these options that Purdy has. They're breaking tackles. Yak all over the place, and we're just getting embarrassed. So, here's the question, Jay. Do you want to, like you said last week, die by 1,000 cuts, or go ahead and just get it over with? Take it in the face, bro. My option is let's just take it in the face. Let's go get it. If I'm coach in that locker room, I'm like, look, we are going after it. And I don't care what we see. We're going to have to identify. We're going to have to be quick on our feet. But I'm not going to let Purdy just sit back there. First off, they're going to run the ball at us, They're physical as heck. They get their run game established, and then they start play action us to death. All those weapons out there just running willy-nilly and free. I'm not going to let them do it. I'm going to put 8, 9 in the box if I have to stop the run. And then any type of exotic blitz I can think of. Might not be our forte, but this week, doggone it, we're going to do it. But I guarantee you what we're going to do. We're going to come out with the bend, don't break. We don't want to get hurt deep. We also want to keep everything in front of us, and we're going to allow them to run the ball up our throat, play action us to death, just like they want us to, yak after catches, and this could be, an embarrassing loss. But like I said, I'm not on the coaching staff. We just sit here and talk about them. If it were me, I would turn it loose, but that just hasn't seemed to be the identity of this staff. Maybe they're playing a little too close to the vest sometime at this point, but everybody's trying to keep their jobs and not get embarrassed. The best way to lose a job sometime is to not let it fly,
This is true. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. We are presented by Bet Online. So let's get into the offense a little bit. So we talked about them just a bit there. From an offensive standpoint, you mentioned it. How can the Cardinals offensively put the 49ers on their heels? The reason I asked that, and I've been listened to. I listen to you, because you're the guru, you're the sensei around here. They need to move the pocket with Kyler Murray, because it's when we talk about when you look at body language, when you look at just the way the last couple of games are trending from the Kyler Murray perspective. Yes, they've had some touchdowns by Marvin Harrison Jr., but then it's almost as if they forget about him, and that seems to you want your quarterback not to target the star wide receiver too much, but you got to get him in the game. Trey McBride's going to be back. It looks like he's going to be back from concussion protocol, so he'll be back, which is good. But then that kind of goes back to the offensive coordinator again to stick with the running game, to not be so predictable. And I just wonder. I think if I don't see this game or the next couple of games something more of, again, as Ed says, an identity, that's really going to be a cause for concern, because the offensive coordinator should be the one kind of, I don't care if I got to get you kicking and screaming to get where I need you to be, but I need you where I need you to be. If it's under center, if it's doing these certain things to be able to put you in positions to be successful. What do you think?
I'll say it till I see it from the Cardinals. They have to be more dynamic, man. We have this quarterback with all this ability, and I don't know whether it's him, meaning Kyler Murray, or the coaching staff that's trying and pushing to try to make him more of a pocket guy, but he's not a pocket guy. Number one, because I don't know if you noticed, Jay, we have a short quarterback. I don't know if I've ever said that before, but just in case anybody who out there listening to the Bleav in the Cardinals podcast, if you've never seen our team, just to let you know, we have a short quarterback. So the worst thing to do is just cementing him in a pocket, especially when you have the ability with his legs to create problems for defense. Now, mind you, we just watched Jay McDaniels, who's a taller quarterback, but he's also a runner. We saw him just abuse us as far as, creating problems for us, running out of the pocket. He scored a touchdown with his feet again. This should be more of what we're doing with Kyler, moving the pocket. It all should start with our running game. We just played against a team that ran for 200-plus yards against us. That's be our forte, because what do you do when you hold on to the ball, Jay? You keep it away from the other team too, right? So that should be part of our thing. We should be ball control and dynamic. So because it's not against the rules to be more than one thing. We should be running the ball downhill, keeping the ball away from the opposition, getting Kyler all over the place for these short runs, long runs, everything, moving the pocket, and making it where a team has to wonder, where's his launch spot going to be? What are they going to do with him this time? What trick play do they have up their sleeve? You get none of that when you face the Arizona Cardinals. You get, we come up to the line, we're in pistol, probably, or shotgun 90% of the time. Every now and then we'll show you under center. And what we do when we're under center, we run the ball occasionally, but we don't do anything play action or anything like that. We're so stagnant and we're so predictable. We'll go to our young wide receiver, and then we'll forget about him later in the game, and we'll also stop running the ball. But then we become one-dimensional. So if we can't come up with some other formula, we're basically like a sinking. We're like a ship with no motor in the water. We're just floating out there, and that's what we're going to be.
Let me throw something at you.
Go ahead.
Let me throw something at you, because you've talked about this in this many times over the years. When it comes to a lot of selling, right? And when I say that, you critique the defense and vice versa. Is that typically around the bye week, or is that something that happens? I would say to Petzing, hey, you're predictable. You're really predictable. This is, I know that what you said that you were going to try to do when we went in our meetings, but look, if I was facing your offense, I know that you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Does that happen only at the bye week when you have that time to decompress, or does that happen all the time? Because it seems like that's something that should be happening with the Cardinals, at least as they're evaluating the offense.
Well, you would think, and I've been in several different. I was in several different offenses, and I always got the impression that prior to the season, you got to remember, we have this huge playbook that looks like a thesaurus. I mean, this thing is huge, and if you finger through it, during the off season, we would pull out everything. We'd have install 3 or 4 plays a day. During these mini camps and stuff like that. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself, oh, my God, I hope we don't run all this stuff, because, you got to remember all this stuff. Once you get to the season, let me backtrack a little bit. So you get a flavor for what we have the potential to be, because that's the entire – it's like walking to your big, huge pantry, right? And you open it up and you got every seasoning, everything you can imagine, even paprika's up in there. You got all this stuff, right? Doggone well, you're not going to use all. We got seasons and stuff in the pantry, bro. I'm like, how long we had this? I ain't never seen that, or even thought about using this. Celery seed and this and all that kind of crazy stuff. But it's in there, right? And that's the same way with your offense.
Yeah,
certain things are in there. You've got some trick plays that you've run during mini camps and stuff that. Once, you get into the season, it's like, I know we ain't never going to run that. But the good teams, week 6 or 7, now they might even showed it like KC does in a preseason game, the behind-the-back passes and stuff like that. They'll show it just to practice it real quick to see what it looks like on tape, then put that away. And then you won't see it again maybe the whole season, or in week 12. You know what? Hey, we're going to pull this one off the shelf. Now, what it looks like we've done is I don't know how much they, brought the whole playbook, and gave it to the guys, but it looks like we've stuck to the same kind of number of plays, and we haven't dove into the back part of that pantry to say, hey, don't forget we have this, and that. And not only just the plays we run, Jay, the formations, the packages, the motions. I mean, we should be all over the place because we don't have what I would call dynamic offense. We should be trying to hey, look over here with motions and stuff like that, and try to hit them on the backside or do this or go over the top. Maybe they'll forget about this guy if we run him over here, or we run, motion this way and get scat back going this way. We've just gotten so vanilla, and it's kind of happened quickly. If you ask me, I have not seen any like thing that I thought I would see from this team in terms of let's throw the ball down the field. Let's, get Kyler out there using his legs. Let's use him to pick up some of these first downs or, move the pocket or motion. I mean, right now it looks like we come up to the ball, we call the play and no motions, no nothing. Because what's going to happen eventually, and the teams are now after the first 4 games, teams have all this film. We're getting very easy to game plan against, if you ask me. Offensively, right. They can, where Marvin Harrison's going to be all the time. Doesn't look like they're, lining him up, doing anything different than you go out while you're the X or the Y or whatever. You go out there, you stand and run your route. I don't see any crazy motions, formations, nothing. So, I mean, the time to do it is all through the season. You ask when you should be doing that. You should be always in the lab working on stuff to create illusion and confusion. And but like I said, and it's a young staff and they're still trying to figure it out. The problem is once you get into year 3s and 4s, which we're already almost halfway there, and then what's going to happen, Jay? There's no success. Hey, let's move on to the next. And I just have a fear that although they're doing a good job of creating a good culture and environment, we're not going to get the results on the field, both offensively and defensively and everything as far as wins and losses. And before you know, it'll be time for the next coaching staff to come in here, and then we're starting all over again. And you also have to worry about when we get to the back end of Kyler's contract, are they going to want to fork up another huge, 4 or 5 years for what we've gotten to this point so far? I don't know. So, I mean, we could be in for long winter here, right, man. Seriously.
Indeed. So, Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals were presented by Bet Online. So let's get into how you think this game is going to play out, or just ultimately what that prediction is. I'm thinking going up to the Bay, and it's a team that is prepared. I think of a team that historically, yes, they have their times where they go through their share of injuries, and I've shared that with you. It seems like it's almost like you can set your watch by it, but there's a lot of depth on those teams, and they gonna take it to you. If nothing else, what was it? There was that stat last year that teams after playing the San Francisco 49ers, they had a loss because it was such a physical game, and I think this is going to be the same with the Cardinals going to the Bay Area to take on the 49ers. I think. I would say the 49ers will win by more than 7. I would think maybe 34-20. 34-20 is what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be one of those games where maybe we'll see the time of possession really in favor of the 49ers, and I think they're going to really try to take advantage of the lack of pass rush, as you said, and then still continue to take advantage of those of the corners, because those are those are the soft spots where it comes from the defensive side of the ball.
Well, San Francisco's identity is physicality, run the ball downhill, play action with Purdy, with all those weapons, and yak. So keep your eye on the yak and everything else that I just said, because it can get they could be clinical against us. I mean, they could be, Purdy with the play action and, hitting stuff on timing, and Debo coming out of the backfield or line up wherever he is. Ayuk hasn't even gotten off yet. Kittle's another weapon. We don't bring, in my opinion, enough, one, physicality, and 2, I don't think we have the horses to match up against them on the other side. So this could be a lopsided matchup. For some reason, we tend to play San Francisco, well, even though we're outmanned. But you also have to remember that was, it was almost like Kingsbury had a little bit of something, mojo or something. He must have knew something against somebody or something, or made a deal with somebody to keep us in some of those games. This is a new coaching staff. I don't think we're going to go up there and show well this week. I'm looking at something like 33-16, something like that. And it could get a little worse, but I think because San Fran, they run the ball a lot, this will be a short game. It's not going to be one of those long passing games. So
Yeah.
a lot of runs, and they might have control of this one early and just beat us down. And like I said, we come back here 1-4 now. So we'll see. I mean, maybe the shock is they go up there and do everything right and come back with a dub, but I don't see it.
Hopefully so. So two quick things before I let you get out of here. You mentioned that the 49ers like to run the ball. So that's demoralizing, right? I mean, if you line up and you know they're about to run it at you, you right there on that defensive line, they're about to run it again. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm trying to use my technique. I'm trying real hard, Ringo. Trying real hard.
No, man, it is real when they line up and they start pushing you back, and every run is like 5 and 6 yards. Oh, pick up of 8 on the carry. And then like I said, they hit you with the play action and stuff like that, and before you know it, you're just shaking your head. You're like, I don't know what the heck we're doing out there, how we stop this. And yeah, it is very demoralizing. I used to love to be on when you had the 4-minute offense and you get out there and you knew we were trying to grind it out, and we still were able to, push it. Maybe it took us 3 plays to get it, 3rd and 1. Oh, first down. Those are, like I said, those are demoralizing when you're trying to stop it and you can't. But I mean, I don't see where, resistance. While we just gave up over 200 yards of rushing to the Washington Commanders. You think what the 49ers are going to try to do to us? Now, hey, this is where you go out there and show, and I got a sneaky feeling that they're going to play well, but I just don't think we'll have enough to get
I hope they get in there, go in there and get a W. So
yeah, that would be nice.
Last one, leave me with this. You still rocking with Brock Purdy?
Oh, I'm all the way with Purdy, man.
Okay.
I'm not saying $60 million quarterback, but that young man, last guy in the draft, everybody's been giving a hard time because he was the last guy coming out. What he does, and I'll say it again, and you heard me say this before, people think it's just, you just drop back and you throw the ball. He's got all these weapons and everybody's open. He goes up to the line of scrimmage. In 40 seconds, he has to diagnose, get everybody, into the proper play, call out the protections. People forget that. You got to call the protections out. You and your center, we're sliding to this guy. We're doing that. He's up there orchestrating. He should have one of those things, with the orchestra.
Yeah,
he's up there doing it, bro. He's getting people in the right direction or in the right formations, all the motions. He'll stop stuff, start stuff. We're going to move to this. And then he has to execute the play. So everything he's doing, and he does it with like a 10-year vet. You watch what Purdy does, and I guarantee you, Shanahan's system is not an easy. I've been in systems before that it's kind of rudimentary. You got a couple motions. We got that, man. If you watch all the things they do, and the formations, the motions, they get after it, and all that is in Purdy's head. He's like a big old computer, and he's deciphering all this stuff, and so it's more than just throwing the football. And then he does that well. Also, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but how many times we see him put it on dudes to in stride to get that yak? So he's doing all those things and deserves a lot more credit than people will give him.
Yeah, it's you can't have it both ways, right? Because I'm thinking of I'm the guy that's always hesitant to crown somebody because I think people try to crown people so quickly. So be that as it may, though, but with Purdy, because he's shown his sample size is large enough that you say, all right, man, you good, man, you good. But people are, that's because you have, as you mentioned, that's because you have weapons. So I'm not supposed to have weapons. So if I don't have weapons, then you would say I was bad, right? So I have weapons, so that's a knock against me. I have a good offensive line, so that's a knock against me too. But it's the accountant that says, well, I'm a good accountant because my organization's terrible and my software is bad, but I still overcome. No, you want to have good software. You want to have an organization that pays you on time and does all that stuff. That shouldn't count against you because you got those luxuries, if you will.
That's a smart organization that put the right people around Purdy and they're asking him to do exactly what he's good at doing, and
Yeah.
no more, no less. And then you can't blame Purdy because he's got Ayuk and Debo and that, and at the same time, we've seen others trying to run that offense. If all things are equal, why isn't Trey Lance still there? Or Garoppolo? They were all in the system, and somehow Purdy, a 7th round, last person picked in the draft, has the ability to, like I said, orchestrate and run this offense, and it looks as clean as it does. His first year stepping in as a part-time, like a takeover guy, got him to the NFC Championship game before he got hurt. Last year, they go to a Super Bowl. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? So, I mean, it is what it is, man. Let that man do his job. He's gonna go from, making $900,000 to, in a year or so, that man gonna be able to take care of 16 generations of Purdy's, bro. I mean, he about to get paid.
Get your money, man. So both Ed and I have, unfortunately, we pick against the Cardinals. Hopefully, we're wrong. We love to be talking about a Cardinal victory. That would be cool. That would be something going in the right direction. But on behalf of the one and only Ed Easy Smith, I am Javon J. Love Adams. We do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays we look back on the game that was. Thursdays we look ahead to the upcoming opponent. And as always, we are presented by Bet Online. Tell a friend to tell a friend what we have going here. And as we always like to say around this time, are you okay?